I've been a freelance illustrator professionally since 1990. I draw comic books, I draw portraits, I draw sketch cards, I draw anything that pays the bills. I've done license work for DC, for Marvel, for Disney, a number of different projects. As far as the, Brony community, this is the first official My Little Pony involvement that I've had, but I've done a lot of fan work and such like that, and I do commissions at conventions for people. So, but I'm all excited because now every time I put the pen to paper, it's actually officially official.
Yeah.
So,
Which is awesome, man. And the artwork, I got to say, is just amazing. It's very cartoony, very colorful. I love the artwork.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so far I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback, The official announcement for the comic book was made by IDW at San Diego Comic-Con on July 12th. And, the day before the announcement, my interactions on DeviantArt were 41 people. The day of the announcement, it shot up to 1,200 people.
Oh.
And then the day the convention ended on Sunday and people were actually coming home, it shot up to 3,500 people. So
wow.
There's a lot of people excited for this book.
Yeah, it's that is quite amazing. 3,500 people.
3,500 people in one day.
In one day. You are suddenly popular, my friend.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Also, so then how did you get started in making the comic? I mean, did Hasbro go to you, or did you go to Hasbro?
Well, I'm sure you guys know Katie Cook is going to be the writer for this series. Katie is a tremendous artist in her own right, and we've known each other for years. And I saw her at a convention in the spring, and we started talking about, ponies. And she said, well, I've got lead on a project. Would you like to be involved? And I was, I jumped on it. So it was really Katie that came to me and introduced me to a lot of the creative team that were involved with this. Bobby Curnow, our editor at IDW, and all the gang at Hasbro. And once that discussion was made, it was up to her to pitch me. And that's where it happened. Hasbro and IDW both were like, welcome on board. Let's get this going. They were very positive from the beginning, and that's pretty much the Reader's Digest version of it.
Yeah, well, cool. That's really awesome that that you were chosen. That is really cool. And then now, how is it working with Katie and collabing together?
It's awesome. Like I said, Katie and I have known each other for years, even though we live 10 hours apart. We've done a lot of sketch card projects together, and we see each other at conventions. What's great about working with Katie, being an artist, is that she knows how to picture a script visually, which is kind of different. A lot of comic scripts that come across my desk, a lot of people don't know how to write for directions for the artist. They basically just write a pretty story, and a lot of times they will write things that don't interpret very well to the art. And Katie is the opposite. She knows how it's going to work. She's cooked up a lot of surprises in the script, and it's been great.
Yeah, I can see how with her, being an artist, I mean, you don't want just a story writer to write something that's going to be like 75% visual.
Right.
You want someone that knows what is going to be in the scenes, you know, and how they're going to look and how they'll transition fluidly, you know.
Right.
It's really awesome.
I have just a jump in.
Okay.
It's not really a question. It's more of a commentary on seeing you guys interact and stuff on Twitter. I got to say, it's pretty hilarious, and I'm really excited, and I think a lot of people are, to see some people that are working so closely on a Hasbro product, you know, kind of a thing as this. And, you know, it's not just Tara Strong anymore that we have that's sort of being silly and crazy. And we get, you know, because it's nice for us to see real people, you know, like people we would interact with, you know, like in a different plane of existence, you know, we could be good friends. I enjoy quite a lot of the commentary that I see, and it's not all this sort of, you know, super professional, like over
intimidating,
you know, very nicety kind of a thing. You know, it's nice to see the reality.
Well, that's, you know, me and Katie in a room together. You know, it doesn't get to happen very often, but when we're in a room together, you know, we just soar. You know, we just take off at each other. You know, she's very comedic. I'm very comedic. We're both very dry-witted. You know, we just play off of each other beautifully. So I think this has become a teammate in heaven.
Yeah,
at least it has been for me. So hopefully we can bring that along to everybody else as well.
It sounds great, and yeah, I can't wait to see it. I mean, I actually live here in Cincinnati, and I was extremely excited whenever I saw that. Well, first, that Cincinnati had a convention that's relevant.
Right.
But then I was like, wait, something brony is showing up here in Cincinnati? And then I looked even closer. It's a comic book? Amazing.
Yep.
And so I am definitely going and buying hundreds of comics, 10 of which will be yours. But yes, it is going to be really cool, and I can't wait to see it. And what I wanted to ask is, with the comic, I know you can't really say a whole lot about plot or storyline, but is the storyline going to be canon? Is it going to follow the stuff in the show, or is it something like your own story?
I will say, with something that has become as big as My Little Pony has, when you think about other projects that have, you know, a great big fan following, Star Wars, Star Trek, etc., you know, there's always a lot of fan fiction involved.
Yeah.
This isn't fan fiction. This is official. This is a Hasbro licensed product. Mm-hmm. We are working with the creative teams at Hasbro. That being said, I think it's really going to be a lot up to the fans as to what they consider to be canon. We are not going to be doing anything that contradicts the show. You know, the show isn't going to be doing anything that contradicts us, but we are working independently. You know, we check with them on what we're doing, but they're not dictating what we do.
Okay, so basically, like the TV show and the comic will not, you know, go from each other. Like it won't, like part of the story's from the comic, and then the story, the show will work off of that. No, it's two separate things that do not contradict one another.
Right. I would not say, you know, the comic book is not separated from the show. Like I said, I think it's really going to be up to fans as to whether or not they decide that they want to take it canon. I think that decision is open. But like I said, you know, we're not going to do something that seriously contradicts the show. You know, we're not going to, you know, Rainbow Dash and suddenly become a one-eyed pirate, or, you know, anything like that.
New fanfic.
You know, we're not going to be, you know, we're not going to introduce any elements that defy the nature of the show. You know, I was very surprised at how many people have asked me if humans are going to be in the show. And no, we don't have plans for anything, you know, as dramatic a turn from the show.
Yeah. Okay, and so now that brings up another question about the story. Is it going to be like just a single story, or is it going to be different story arcs?
Well, that's what's actually pretty cool about this is this first one is a 4-issue story arc. So that is an advantage that we have in comics is we can actually tell a bigger story than they can in a 30-minute episode. We can expand farther on. So this first opening story is going to be pretty grand adventure.
Awesome. I know a lot of people are also thinking about what's the average page number for each issue.
You're going to have 22 pages per book.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Wow, specific already.
Yep.
Not 21 because you can't do it.
21.
Not 21 because you can't do 21. Half a page. You can't do half a page. You have to have front.
It's got to be one. It's got to be 1 year older than drinking age.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It is a full-size comic. And one thing, on that note, I need to jump in real quick and make sure that people understand. I'm just the artist. I'm not the distributor. I think the biggest question I've gotten is, can I get this book from you? Where can I get this book? Can I get this book overseas? Guys, I don't know. that part, just go wherever you find comic books, and hopefully that's where it will be.
You are the face of this comic book now. You need the answers.
Right. Yeah. I had one guy ask me, so can you send me a copy? I was like, no. He's like, seriously, you can send me one, right? No.
I am the artist, nothing more. What do you want from me?
That's all I do. That's all I do. But, I don't do windows. I don't cater. I just draw.
So yeah, that's really cool. And 22 pages. A lot of people think, well, that's not a whole lot. Well, if you think, a comic. I have a lot of comics here, and 22 pages. It could take me a half hour to fully enjoy the story, and to
a lot of animes are less than that.
Yeah, just,
that's a full-size American comic.
Yeah. You really get lost in the story about how long it is, and then you're like, wow, that took a lot longer. I enjoyed it, and everything, and it was only 22 pages long,
Right.
Let's see if we have any other questions in the.
We have quite a few.
Yeah. Andrew's been passing me a couple here. What was your favorite thing to work on? Anything you've worked on?
Well, of any projects, or this one specifically?
Any project.
Recently I do a lot of sketch card projects, DC, Marvel, etc. And actually, I really enjoy them. They're back-breaking work. You get, 10 million cards that you got to do within a specific time period, but it keeps me on my toes. I deliberately do not repeat images, so hundreds and hundreds of sketch cards I've done, each one is different. And they let me stretch my wings, as it were. I get to be very creative. I have to do a lot of these images quick, so it keeps me on my toes. It's constant practice. And I'm just recently finished a set for DC Comics for it's being released through Cryptozoic Entertainment for the new DC 52.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to do a lot of cards for the regular set. And I also did a number of oversized redemption cards that I've slowly started posting on Facebook and DeviantArt. People will get a card in their trading card pack. If they're lucky enough to hit a card that says they can redeem it for one of the oversized pieces of art. And I'm currently working on another DC-related set that I can't quite reveal yet, but I will say it is extremely up my alley. It's something that I'm delighted to do.
Yeah, I've seen that the DC and Marvel comics, those are every page, every block is just artwork. It's amazing. It's a big piece of art down in this little box. just so much goes into it, and you can just look at it and be amazed at how much detail and everything, and I bet it is quite a feat.
Oh yeah, and anybody that is familiar with my art knows that I actually vary my styles quite a bit. I can be a very, serious, straightforward comic book illustrator, and then I can do a lot of more silly, cartoony stuff as well. I blame it on the pencil. It's just whatever comes out of the pencil at the time. But it keeps me on my toes, keeps me entertained. And in a lot of ways, it's been some great practice for the MLP comic. It keeps me warmed up. And with the book, we're not limited in ways that the show is. It's weird. The animators have a lot of freedom in their direction. We have a lot of freedom in our art direction. But there's things you can do in a comic that you can't quite do in animation, vice versa. But I think people are going to see that we're bringing as much serious dedication to the artwork in this book that we would to any book for DC or Marvel.
Yeah. So then going.
I think that's.
Oh, sorry.
I was just saying. I think that's one of the things that are actually exciting people.
Yeah, and so going to the MLP comic, going from the Marvel and the DC, or mainly DC or whatever, the big hero comics and everything, down to My Little Pony, is a lot simpler, or do you find more challenges for you, or how is it making that transition?
It's something that a lot of people kind of have a misconception on, thinking, oh, well, here you're drawing Batman and Superman in the Hall of Justice and these explosions in space and everything. And now you're drawing, My Little Pony. And it's cute. And it's like, no, it's actually just as difficult, and in some cases more difficult. Because it is the very established look.
Mm-hmm.
While Batman and Superman have an established costume, each artist always brings their own interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really the case with a marketable licensed product like My Little Pony or Peanuts or Transformers or things like that. It has to have a specific look to it.
Yeah.
And it is, they have specific proportions and everything else like that. It is for me, what I really love about it in comparison to like superhero comics or whatever, is it is a lot more organic.
Mm-hmm.
You really look at that show, you're kind of hard-pressed to find where an animator put out a ruler.
Mm-hmm.
It's very free-handed, very flowing. That's something that's really nice in the art. That makes it go a little bit quicker. And in saying that, there is a specific look, that is to say that I'm not tracing their model sheets or whatever. I'm not a copycat artist. I am going to be bringing my own look to the work, while still staying faithful to what people know these characters to be.
Yeah,
so.
And I'm actually looking at the two covers that you released a little bit earlier. The art that has the pictures of both covers together merged, and it resembles the art style of the show, but it has that twist to it that's your own little thing that you've added in. Your style. It's very rounded, very colorful, very inviting, to read or to look at, and the way you have it here, your eyes just kind of follow from the left around, and then it's more interesting to look at because the way you've placed everything.
Vectors.
Oh yeah. So the copycat thing that you were talking about. Yeah, the vectors. A lot of people do vector art, which is that tracing, but you can tell definitely that this is not tracing. It's great. I mean, it's all free-handed, very lively.
Yeah, I do. All of my artwork I do traditionally. Pencils, erasers, ink brushes. I don't do anything digital. That's nothing against the people that do digital work or the fan arts of vectors or anything. But That's just not me. I'm very, very old school. I was taught by very old school artists. You know, my inspirations are artists from the 70s, 50s, 60s. You know, and that's the kind of stuff that I work with.
Yeah, and if you think of, all the great art, and everything. I'm not an art scholar or nothing. I'm a drummer, but anyways, whenever you think of like movies and everything, animations that had really great art in it, like the Disney movies, all the Disney movies that were like before 2000 were all hand drawn and everything, and
right.
it's amazing piece of art just to look at. You know, it's amazing. Digital, it's not as unique, not as pretty. It's all too. It's like listening to someone that's been auto-tuned. You know, it's.
I can follow that. I used to have a real hatred towards digital art. I have to admit, I really did, and that was the old school in me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kids get off my lawn. You know?
Don't make me get the shotgun.
Right, but I've changed my opinion of it. It's really what digital art is. It is simply another medium. You know, some people work in oil, some people work in pencil, some people work with a tablet and a stylus. And there are some people out there that do some of the most incredible work ever. But what does astound me is some of the messages I'm getting from some younger fans is, wow, this almost looks like digital. You mean you drew this by hand? How is that possible? that kind of shocked me. It's like,
what?
You guys ever picked up a pencil? Do you know what one is?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you know what a pencil sharpener is? We used to have them in the corner of the classroom.
Right. You know, that you would bust your knuckles on the wall every time you sharpened it.
Oh, my gosh, yes. But yeah, I do know that a lot of people also, like I do, I doodle a little bit. And what I do is I'll draw it on paper and I'll ink it and erase away all the pencil marks. But so I have this really nice black and white inked picture, but then I'll scan it and color it in Photoshop, because
right.
That way you're able to mess up if you need to and erase and all that.
Right.
I'm not
I will say that's an element I'm extremely jealous of. Is the back button.
Yeah.
There is no back button with markers or acrylics. Once you put it down, you're like, well, there it is.
I'm not as daring as coloring, on a piece of paper. I need the back button.
Well, I will reveal that on the. I've never wanted a back button so much as I did when I was doing the Twilight Sparkle cover.
Oh, really?
For a number of reasons. The one that you're seeing, the published piece, is actually the third drawing.
The third?
The first one I did, I wasn't satisfied with. The second one I did, I needed to make some changes. There's some editorial changes. Okay, put this here. So, okay, I had to fix it. That's the final piece. So on the third piece, and I had just started coloring it. I was maybe 2 hours into coloring. And one of the markers leaked. And big about inch-long drip.
Oh, no.
Bright purple ink spattered onto the cover.
Oh, no.
Dum.
I managed, normally I would have, gone into a rage and torn the studio apart and, or blamed the cats even though they weren't in the room or whatever. But I was so panicked by it, I was so freaked out by it that I just didn't even move. I just stared at it.
Oh.
But it was early enough in the coloring stages that I was like, you know what, just keep going forward. If I can't fix it, then I'll just start over. And I managed to fix it. It's there. I know exactly where it is. But I freaked myself out by being able to repair it.
Well, I wouldn't reveal where it is because I can't tell at all.
It's like it's like doing a recovery or a restoration on a tattoo. That takes some skill.
Yeah.
But that is, oh man, I have been working on a radio play, and I had the same situation where I went through a 20-minute thing of someone that did a recording for like 24, 30 lines, and they did like 5 of each line to make sure that they got it right. And so I'm listening and I'm getting out each line that is perfect. And after, it was like an hour because this recording was like 25 minutes long. And so I get to the last line and Audacity just dies on me. And I know that feeling. I just stared at it.
Yep.
And you're like,
there's nothing else you can do at that point. So.
Now, luckily, Audacity has a recover feature that I did not know about. But, oh my gosh, I was like, computer screens are about to go through the window.
Blue screen of death.
But, so next question here, question from the chat room. How did you go about developing the art style for the comic? Or, yeah.
Well, like I said, I am doing my own art, but I am working from model sheets. Much to, I'm sure, a lot of fans' jealousy. In fact, I'll just put it in my hand right now so they can be even more jealous. I have an official Hasbro licensing guide right here in my hand, with everything that you could want to know about, the artwork. On toys and. I have a PMS color chart and everything you could want to know. And no, it's not for sale.
Oh, really? It isn't? Then could you just give me one?
And the other thing is I have scoured the internet and downloaded millions of screen grabs and all kinds of fan-collected pieces and things like that. I've made 2 giant volumes myself of reference. I have 2 giant 3-ring binders.
Oh, wow.
One is specifically on the main 6. The other one is background ponies, Ponyville buildings, the pets, shrubbery, everything that I could need. And I work from that, but like I said, I'm not a slave to it.
That also brings up another question from the chat room is, are there going to be any stories that do not involve the main 6?
Well, I'm going to kind of alter that question a little bit and say I'm wondering if people aren't asking, are there going to be stories about that certain cross-eyed.
Well, actually, any kind of background.
That is a question as well, but I didn't ask it because I knew that I'm sure you've had that question asked about 1 billion times.
Well,
but I'll let you answer how you would like.
Well, I will say this. I have to be kind of careful in how we talk about this, but I will say anything that is involved in the show can be involved in this book. So any ponies that you've seen, we do have access to. Well, again, everything goes through Hasbro. So if there's if Hasbro says no, then no. Well, we do have plans for characters other than the main 6. I will say that.
Thank you for that vague answer. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
I have a few sort of follow-up-y kind of things to that. People have been asking about, and I've been wondering myself. We talked a little bit about, how close it would be to the show. It being its own thing, but still being in the same sort of style, I guess, as the show. The same sort of, love and tolerance and sort of this ideals of the show. What things, I guess, first I'll ask, you already said that you guys have seen different artwork pieces done by fans. Are there other aspects of the fandom that you guys have looked into, whether it be, stories or music or other things like that? And as a sort of separate question from that, is there the possibility of there being these, maybe not fan-derived things, but totally separate storylines and things, original characters that you'll be creating in the comic that are not necessarily already part of the show?
Well, as far as creating characters independent to the comic, that is likely. There will be at the very least background ponies that you have not seen on the show. Things along those lines, some locales that haven't been seen, such like that. As far as taking things from the fan base, from fan fiction or original creations, that we actually cannot do. And the main reason is legal.
Yeah.
It's not what fans want to hear, I know. But the unfortunate truth of it is that involves a lot of legalities, not just on Hasbro's part, but it's things that have happened in the comic and licensing world that have established that things like that can't progress. They can't go forward. It's kind of like, if somebody was to say, hey, put my character in there, and I did it, and then Hasbro was like, oh, we like the design of that character, well, let's put it in the show. Hey, that's my pony, I created that. No, you didn't. We did. Well, no, I did. See, here's all my artwork and everything. Well, now we've got a mess. Now it's one person saying this is my character and another person saying this is my character, and that's where things get sticky. So, unfortunately, we can't derive things from fan fiction.
Which is, I would be like, dude, that's my character. Dude, look, that's awesome.
Right.
Party on.
I mean, we would love to. I've seen some things that are great ideas, but it's just a dangerous territory. And again, everything has to go through Hasbro. It's their sandbox. We're just playing in it.
Yeah.
At the end, they have the end say over what goes. And everybody knows, like I said, there's that certain flying cross-eyed Pegasus that shall not be named. And there's reasons behind that.
Yeah.
But Hasbro has to remember that, we have to remember that we are representing a major property.
Yeah.
As much as people love it, it is a major licensed property that was created for purposes of industry, et cetera, et cetera. It's great that people love it. And that's the goal when you make something, is you want people to like it. But you have to remember the legal reasons behind everything.
All right, well, I got a pony for you. It's an alicorn mermaid pony. It's called the Alamer pony.
Most original character.
That's mine right there. You should try it. The alicorn mermaid pony right there.
Don't forget narwhal ponies. Narwhal ponies.
You're right. Narwhal ponies and
the hippocampus.
Hippocampus and what's the Irish ponies that live in the swamp and drown people?
I don't know.
Well, see, I just stopped the show right there.
DJ Shamrock.
That's right up my alley. That should be right up my alley.
Yeah, Shamrock.
Right.
God, some of our Irish listeners, help me out here.
I can't remember the name of them at the moment. It's an old Irish. Yeah, it's an old Irish superstition of these horses that would lure you towards water and then drown you. And kelpies. That's what they're called. Kelpies.
Oh, yes, that's right, actually.
Well, Shamrock, Shamrock, I think you're slipping. I think your Irish hood is slipping.
Right.
It is.
But dude, yeah, and I know how Hasbro is. I mean, if they have any involvement with like recognizing the Brony community or or by responding to something from them. If they respond, only terror happens. I mean, but with the as you have said, the cross-eyed pony that will not be mentioned. I'm a little bit more daring, Voldemort. Anyways, they responded by saying, "Oh, this means a certain thing. We're going to respond." Well, that ended in terror even more. And so when they don't respond to anything that we say or do, if they just kind of know we're there but kind of ignore us, we just stay happy. You know?
I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I will say, you know, working with Hasbro on this, they're extremely aware of how large a fan base that they have, and how devoted that they are to the show. You know, they just have to be very careful because it can be sticky water for them. They have to remember, you know, we're here to put out a product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to be careful on that end. You know, we're the fans, so we can say whatever we want.
Yeah.
Well, I can't, but you know.
Yeah.
For the most part,
I can pretend.
You can bridge the gap a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You know what this kind of reminds me of is, have you seen the TV show Star Wars: The Clone Wars? It's a cartoon animation.
Just a little bit. I know I'm going to ostracise probably 95% of the audience, but I'm not a Star Wars fan.
Well, yeah, and my brother is, but I've only seen some of it. But what I've heard is that it bridges the gap between episode 2 and 3. You know, like 2 he was like 20, and then in episode 3 he's like 30, and so or something. I don't know. I'm not that big of a fan, but it bridges the gap of what happened in between. And so, is that kind of what this comic is going to be about, or?
No, not necessarily. We're not locked into a canal like that. See, like with that, they have a specific time period that they have to operate within. They have a certain history behind them,
mm-hmm.
And certain things ahead of them that they can't reference yet. You know, if we have a story that is set in Dover, New Jersey, which is a school that is geared specifically towards the art of illustration, animation, comic work, things along those lines. Mm-hmm. You know, I knew what I wanted to do. I mean, you know, I draw, but I don't want to draw bowls of fruit. That's just not what interests me. You know, I want to draw Batman riding a pony down the middle of, you know, the streets of Boston, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I want to draw what I like. And that school did a lot to hone me. It's unending. It's not just drawing what you feel like drawing. It's, okay, you now have a deadline. You have to draw this. You don't know how to draw it? Well, you better learn how.
Wow.
That's what the comic book world is. That's what the illustration world is. Oh, you don't know how to draw it? Then we don't want you.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you don't know how to draw this? Then what good are you? We can't give you this job. But I know how to draw, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, we don't need Sonic the Hedgehog. We need, you know, a drawing of a Cadillac.
Yeah.
And that's what the school was. It's like, okay, you know, you can draw what you like, but you also have to learn to draw what you need to know how to draw. And that's where I went from, you know, right out of school. The first job I did was a comic book based on the Quantum Leap television series. You know, and you know, which was awesome because I loved Quantum Leap.
Great show.
And that actually was a good thing to start on because, again, there was a licensed product. You know, I had to draw actors, so I had to hit a likeness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the benefit of drawing like Superman or Batman is, again, you're pretty much doing your own interpretation. You know, you have to draw a costume a certain way, or maybe you know, a gadget or something a certain established way. But other than that, it's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with a licensed product, you've got to answer to a lot of other people.
Yeah,
but I digress.
Yeah,
but that's how I got into doing what I do. Was I went specifically to art school, and I've just been doing it ever since.
Yeah, and I can understand. It's like Batman. It's like, Adam West or, George Clooney. It's like, as long as the costume is the same. It's... but yeah, and what you kind of said there is, if you want to be a comic book artist, it's not how much, to know how to draw a lot of things, yes, that is a big part of it, but then also, if you don't know how to draw something whenever it's introduced to you, you need to be able to learn quick.
Right. I mean, it's like an actor. They come up to an actor and they say, hey, can you do a French accent? You bet I can. And they will learn how to do it that night. Because it means the job,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good point, or something that's never been brought to my attention. People have always said with comics and stuff that it's not how great you can draw one drawing whenever you're first starting out or thinking about doing it. It's drawing 1,000 pieces of art as quickly as you can to get that talent. I've heard that, but I've never heard even if you don't know it, you need to learn quick. Yeah.
I mean, and I will say this, a lot of people put down people that trace. I don't. Because if nothing else, you are taking something away from that.
Mm-hmm.
You traced a drawing of a car. Now you've learned something, whether you realize it or not, you've learned something about how that image of that car is constructed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you'll lock away, you'll file away in your brain, and later when it suddenly comes up, you realize you've drawn a car without having to trace it.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of people put down, little kids who are tracing the drawing. Oh, don't trace that, Timmy. Draw it yourself. Don't let Timmy trace it. If you learn something from it, let him trace it. Why not?
Yeah.
And like the people doing the vector tracings, if nothing else, they're learning more about the program. Which, if they're interested in doing the artwork, more power to them. It's a tool.
Yeah.
So just don't pass it off as yours. That's all. All.
It's it's kind of like
acknowledge that you traced it.
Yeah.
Right.
It kind of like a lot of people, the brony musicians, quote unquote, use like FL Studios and digital programs. And so whenever you go to a convention and they're like, okay, this is the brony musicians, and I get up there and I'm like, well, I'm a drummer, and everybody goes, he's just a drummer. And I'm like, I'm a physical drummer. You guys program it. You're programmers. You're not musicians.
Yeah. Right.
But
right.
But then now I'm starting to see that it's more of a medium. If you can hear something in your head, but you can't physically play all those instruments, you can program it. And just as long as they acknowledge, yes, that it is programmed, it's not physically played.
Right. And even a programmer, they have to have, they have to have the skill of the music
mm-hmm.
to be able to know what they're doing. Otherwise they're just programming noise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which there's a lot of out there.
Yeah. As a performer myself, I gotta say, most of those guys that don't necessarily do performance-based music, that do the programming stuff, know way more about music theory than I do.
Yeah, and still, I mean, it's whether it's programming or physically playing it, or piano versus electric keyboard, it's all how you can express yourself using what you have, what medium you have.
Right.
Yeah. So, Shamrock, do you have any final questions?
I do have just a few, I think. Let me take a look here. By the way, before I make everyone in Equestria very upset, I should ask Deimos, are you recording this call?
Yes, I have been recording this.
Okay, crisis averted. I almost had hundreds of thousands of people extremely angry at me for a second because I go, oh hell, I forgot to ask Deimos if he was recording at the beginning, and I'm totally not. So
we were too taken back by the awesomeness.
Too excited. Yeah, the phone call. That's what did it. It was the phone call.
We're like,
but and we'll be sure to send you a YouTube link to the final thing when we get it up on YouTube, the interview.
Excellent.
I'll either like direct message you on DeviantArt or Twitter, or we'll email you or something.
Okay. I'm very glad that this is not visual then, because I've been sitting here this whole time wearing my spike hat.
No, it is visual.
I would have liked to have seen that.
It is visual. We're right outside your window right now.
Oh, great.
Okay, that's creepy.
No.
You'll have to take a picture, and we'll put it up there next to Deimos and I's faces.
Yes.
on the YouTube video. But yeah, so just a few technical ones, and then a sort of I wouldn't call it a silly one, but it's a non-comic related.
Real quick though, I would like to mention about the recording. About, let me say, 40 minutes into it, it froze on me, and so about 10 minutes was not captured. But still, I mean, it's at 50 minutes, and so we've been going for about an hour. So only about 10 minutes was missed. So
okay. Well, that was probably all that drug deal information anyway. So
yeah, they don't want to hear that.
We don't want everybody to know about that, because then everybody's in on it. You know,
yeah.
That was actually the DEA hacking into Deimos's computer and capturing that feed.
Oh crap!
That's what
they're going to be at my house at midnight.
So let's see. Questions. Okay. Here's a few that I'm not as familiar with, as I'm not as familiar with comics, but will there be a trade paperback collecting the comics?
It has not been announced in stone, but I would pretty much say that, yeah, that's kind of the norm in the industry anymore, is because it is a big sales outlet to get trade paperbacks into stores such as Barnes & Noble and Borders and Books and all that.
Right.
So I'd say yeah.
Okay, cool. And sort of randomly, I think this was actually from our initial discussion, but I didn't re-see it until now. The lettering on the comics, is that also hand done?
Not any longer. Comic lettering used to be hand done. It is almost exclusively done by computer because it can be done a lot faster than hand lettering can be.
Right.
So that's all done digitally. I should also note that the coloring is also going to be done digitally. There was discussion for a little while about doing the coloring by hand, like I did the covers.
Mm-hmm.
But the time consumption was going to be a big issue. For drawing, for doing rendered marker color on a page, I could probably do maybe one a day, whereas in coloring it digitally, I can probably get 2 or 3 done a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be done digitally.
Okay.
And my final my final question for you is, and it's a very important question, is who, in your opinion, is best pony?
Mayor. See that? No. I wanted to hear those crickets there.
You got me for you legitimately.
That moment of shock. Yes.
I was like, why?
Okay.
Now, I think this is. I think with all fans, this is a very important question. Who is best pony? Because there is 2 levels to this question.
There is.
Because there's who is best pony overall, and then there's who is best pony of the main 6.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Very true.
And those aren't necessarily the same thing. So I'm going to educate you guys. And do not define me on this, because this is in stone.
Okay.
Luna.
Teach us, my master.
Luna is best pony.
Oh, yes.
Oh no.
Suck it, Shamrock. Suck it, okay?
Luna is best pony.
Luna is best.
Oh,
You
Deimos
heard
is
it.
he works for He works for us on Celestia Radio, and yet he's a Luna fan.
Luna is best pony.
Yeah, Luna is best pony. In fact, the rear of my car has Luna's cutie mark.
Oh, yes.
And
is
I've got a
awesome.
little decal on the side that says Nightmare Moon. So, yeah, Luna is best pony. And my favorite of the main six is Applejack. I'm a big Applejack fan.
Okay, interesting.
Luna is best overall. She is the ruler.
Yes,
She is the right now as we look outside. It is a beautiful night. I wonder why.
Because Luna.
Yes.
Oh man. Glorious.
I do have one thing that I did want to ask, and it kind of went back to this is my final thing that I'm going to ask. Basically, I was kind of saying, was it going to be like, was it going to stick to the show like how it's done? Or whatever? I wanted to expand on that, like the attitudes and the facial expressions. Or are we going to be seeing a lot dynamic facial expressions and attitudes that are just like in the show, or very common?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, the elements of the show that work for the show, we really want to capture and or expand on as well. So that was one of the things that was very important to them, was that physical dynamic
Mm-hmm.
in the artwork. And I think that was something that they were very pleased with in my art, and something that I try to emphasize is, expressions and attitude and body language and things like that. So
Well, that's
I
great.
think that's something that will be very front forward in the book.
That is awesome, and I cannot wait for November. This is going to be great. And I can't wait to see you and what you and Katie and the other, I totally forget her name.
Yep, myself, Katie Cook, the writer of the book, and Stephanie Buscema, our guest cover artist, will all be at Cincinnati Comic Expo September 22nd and 23rd.
Yes, I cannot wait to see you guys and in the Cincinnati Comic Expo. That is awesome. So, I don't have any further questions. Shamrock, do you?
I do not have any further questions, but I want to thank you so much for getting back in touch with us and coming on the show. And hopefully, at one point, we can pin down both you and Katie at some point in the future after the comic comes out, and maybe do another one.
Yep.
That'd be awesome. I'm all about it. You guys were great.
That is awesome. Yes, and thank you for letting Celestia Radio be the first of many to
you guys
interview.
Are very welcome.
And great information. First, yes, great information. We loved it, and the chat room, they learned a lot. And anybody that watches or listens rather to the YouTube will learn just as much as we have. So
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, let them know. You guys can all follow me on Twitter. You can hit up my Deviant Art page. That's where I'm posting artwork first when I'm allowed to post it. So if you guys want sneak peeks and things like that, or tidbits, or want to ask me questions, you can always hit me on Twitter or Deviant Art.
Yes, Andy Price Art, all one word.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Andy. Thank you for coming on the show. Any final words you want to yell at the chat room and people listening?
You guys are great. The responses that I've gotten so far for the book, for a book that hasn't even been printed yet, have been wonderful. We know we've got a big load on our shoulders, and we hope to bring you our best. So stick with us. I think you guys will have a lot of fun.
I know we will. All right, thank you, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.